Hello everyone, welcome to another draw with me, or I guess sketch with me, since I'm just going to be sketching in this video. But I've kind of been having a dilemma lately where I don't really know what to draw. So I haven't been doing commissions, and I've been working on like some private projects that I can't show yet. I do have footage for it, but I just can't show it yet. And so I'm just like, what do I draw for a YouTube video? Because usually when I'm working on commissions, I'm just recording commissions because I have to draw them anyway. But for this video, I had like a folder of kind of like scrap canvases on Clip Studio that I never really finished. And so I decided on this one and kind of just like redrawing it. And this is my character Isabella. I love her to death. She's like slowly becoming one of my favorites. And when I first created her, I created like this sheet where it's just a bunch of like kind of roughly rendered sketches of her, and my style has like changed a lot since then. I wanted to just like sketch kind of almost like a warm-up for me that day and just redraw her. And so you can see here that I'm like basically altering her face. Sometimes I do this to my old art where I just use the liquify tool and I play around with it and see what I can change in my old art, because there are a lot of things that I notice that I do differently now and that I find more appealing in my art, and a lot of like mistakes that I see, and I could try to see if I could fix them. And what my style was before when I initially drew this was it was leaning a bit more towards realistic facial proportions. So her eyes were a lot smaller, her eyes were like much higher on her face. But recently I've started to condense the face into kind of like I don't know, like I don't like to call it anime, but I guess it's a bit more scrunched up, you know. And I also realized that this character is black, and I just made her lips like incredibly tiny. Like she had like white people lips. And so I changed that because I want her lips to be more plump, like how I draw them now. And so I changed that. And my plan was to liquefy her face to where it kind of looks like my usual style. I wanted to kind of trace over this, like kind of redraw it. And one of the other things I realized is that I just like, her hair just isn't curly enough. Like it's curly, but the curls are, in my opinion, a little too loose for the type of curly hair that technically she's supposed to realistically have. I mean, I know there are black people out there who have looser curls, but when creating this character, I almost like felt scared to draw like real black hair. And so now I'm trying to come out of that and just like go ahead and try it, because you're not going to get better unless you practice it and try it. And so I want to get better at drawing black hairstyles. So I'm gonna try to make her hair a lot curlier and resemble realistic black hair, although I'm probably not the best at it yet. And I'm sorry if it still doesn't look that great, but hopefully it looks better than what it looked like before. Before I get into the topics that I want to talk about, people have been asking about my canvas size and what canvas size they should be using. And I like to start with a fairly big canvas, like at least paper size, like 8.5 by 11 inches. And I do 300 dpi. And this canvas, because it's old, it actually was like really small. It was only like 2000 pixels. And for some reason it was 600 dpi. Like, why was it 600 dpi? Like, stop at 300. You don't need 600 dpi unless you're printing something absolutely gigantic, like a billboard, okay? So 300 dpi, go at least above 5 inches, because you would much rather start out big and downscale than starting small and having to upscale, because then you'd lose quality. So yeah. So this video is going to be a long one. It's around 40 minutes, and I just wanted to kind of sit down and just talk about like what you guys wanted. I asked in my community tab, what are the topics that some of you want me to talk? Because when I record for these videos, I kind of like to just sit down and almost treat it like a solo podcast where I honestly just talk to myself, because I do this in my head where I just like randomly go off on tangents in my brain, and I'm like, wow, like I wish there was someone out there who would listen to this and like care about it. Because nowadays I feel like I can probably talk to someone and have a conversation about it, but I have this fear where it's like if I go off on these tangents when I'm talking to a person, like actively talking to a person, they just won't care about it. And that's one of the worst feelings, is when you're talking to someone and you just know that they really don't care what you're talking about, but they're just listening anyway because, you know, like they don't want to make you feel bad. But it's like, I can do that for these videos because you clicked on this video and you're watching it out of your own will, and it's like I'm not forcing anyone to listen to me. And so one of the topics that kind of came up a lot in the comments when I asked was like starting a YouTube channel. Like, is it too late to start your YouTube channel? What should I be doing when starting a YouTube channel? Stuff like that. And I don't know if I'm really the best person to talk about this because I'm not like an expert on having a YouTube channel. I'm still working on it. I do have videos that flop, but I like to kind of live by the mindset that it's not too late to start anything. Like, it's not too late to start any hobby. It's not too late to start any bigger hobbies, like maybe a YouTube channel, because something like this, I feel like, should always start out as a hobby because it's kind of like a huge commitment. And I don't think you should be committing your everything to it when starting from scratch. But better to start than never, right? Like, better to start now than never starting your YouTube channel and regretting it in the future. Because with time, there's only growth. And if you have nothing to lose from dedicating some of your time and hours of your day to creating videos and putting effort into editing them and stuff, then I say go for it. You know, what I learned from posting on social media is that somewhere out there, people do care about what you have to say. People do care about what you have to bring to the table when it comes to content creation. There's at least one person out there, and as humans, you know, sometimes we just seek that validation from other people. I mean, sometimes people like to say that you shouldn't care about what others think, and yes, I agree with that, but at the same time, we just like can't help it sometimes, and it feels really good to know that other people care about what you're doing and that they also find some sort of happiness in it along with you. And so if you want to start a YouTube channel, whether it's art or anything like that, I say go for it if you have nothing to lose. I will say, like, try to be wise about your budget, because, like, you know, if you're gonna have to buy a camera, don't splurge too much. Like, try to make sure you can at least earn some of it back, because YouTube monetization, you do have to have 1,000 watch hours, I think, and 1,000 subscribers. I think it might actually be 500 watch hours, not 1,000, because that seems like a lot, but you need at least 1,000 subscribers. And I started like a vlog channel before from scratch because it was about like books and stuff, and I was a bit embarrassed about it, so I didn't like reveal it to any people. But some of my videos got like at least 10k views, but it's like kind of difficult to get subscribers in the beginning when you're making content that doesn't really like reel in subscribers, where people aren't really thinking of wanting to see more of it, or at least like wanting to see more of you doing it. But I just say go for it, because it's an experience. If it fails, then you'll have learned at least something from it, which is always good. You know, learning is always good. And one of the other questions that came up was like how to do well when starting a YouTube channel, which I'm kind of like sorry if my answers suck, because to be honest, when my YouTube channel blew up, or I like saying blew up, but I did get a video that eventually has 100,000 views. I don't know, does that count as blowing up? But I don't really know what I did differently for that to happen. I guess I started talking in my videos, and I started to actively put in more effort into editing them, and I also switched to a draw with me format rather than just recording my screen in OBS. But there's a lot more that goes into how successful a video is than just all of that. But one thing that I like to do now is to actually ask a question to engage the viewer. And I actually forget to do this a lot of the times when I ramble on, but what I did back then in those first like 3 videos that did very well was I would ask whoever's watching a question that would encourage them to answer it in the comments. And it would usually be based on like whatever topic I'm talking about in the video. And so, for example, like one of those videos was me asking if I should talk in my videos. You know, like it's like even just a simple question like that, like kind of near the beginning of the video. And to this day, I still get comments of people answering it, and I do actually read all my comments. And I know some YouTubers would probably suggest not to kind of like focus on the comments too much, because you'll get negative ones and you'll get positive ones, and sometimes eventually you kind of just get numb to like all the comments. But I like to read my comments. I read every single one of them, even if I might not like reply and all that. And I do that because I want to know what people think, and I want to build a community. And it's like one of the main reasons why I even started a YouTube channel to begin with, is because I really love seeing what people have to say about what I do. And one time I actually got a comment that said, like, isn't it weird that most of these comments don't have responses? And they're basically saying like, oh, like she doesn't interact with her comments. And you know, like I used to heart all of them, but nowadays I kind of just forget, even though I do read each and every one of them. But most of the time I kind of treat YouTube comments kind of like a Twitter thread, where it's like you kind of just scroll through and read, you like a couple, but you don't necessarily reply to all of them. Because when I read them, I kind of like only really feel the need to reply to a few, where I know that I can say something specific instead of something generic, like thank you. And some of these comments, like, they're really long, and I still read them because, you know, like someone took the effort to type all that out, and they're hoping that you read it. And so I read it, and sometimes if there's something that I'm like, oh, like I want to say something about that, then I reply to it. But yeah, honestly I don't really know why I talked about that, but yeah, like that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start a YouTube channel, is because I wanted to read comments. And it honestly kind of makes me think of like when I was like 13 and I was on fanfic websites and I was writing stories, and you know, like these stories were stupid and they were badly written, but people would comment on them because people were genuinely interested and invested in this like stupid little story that you created, and they want to know what happens to the characters. And that's kind of like that type of engagement with someone, with something that you've created, is probably what are the top 3 things that's always driven me to art? Or like, I guess not art, but I guess content creation of any sort. Because I don't know, like as a person who's just created things in their life like all the time, whether it's art, stories, characters, whatever, I always look forward to what people have to say about them, because I like to share, you know, like this world is huge and massive and people are great and everyone has something different to say, and just fun to like share in a community that you know cares about it. And I almost like missed that in a way, like writing those stories and having people comment on them every chapter that you publish. I started drawing around when I was like 13, and obviously I didn't get like engagement back then too, but when I started my YouTube channel, I was like, I did it for the purpose of seeing comments, people watching my videos and having something to say about the way I draw or what I drew. And let's just say that it's definitely paid off. So definitely don't think it's ever too late to start anything. And I even started to dabble in writing at one point. I started to write, not necessarily like a fanfic, but like my own kind of like original story, and I would just like write it in a Google Doc and just keep it to myself, because I'm not like a good writer or anything like that, but it's fun to just kind of invest some time to these characters of your own. And I was too embarrassed to outwardly like ask people to read them, knowing that I was the one that wrote it. Like I didn't want to ask my friends to read it or anything. So I went on Wattpad and I just posted it on Wattpad, and I mean, like, I guess it did well because people were reading it, but it wasn't exactly like the type of response that I wanted it, because people would just vote on the chapters, but they wouldn't really comment. And I was looking forward to more commenting because I missed that aspect of like, because I missed that feeling on those fanfic websites where it's like you post a chapter and literally like at least one person comments on something, like being all excited about what just happened. But that's not the case of what happened when I used Wattpad, probably because I just don't understand Wattpad, and you know, like my story just wasn't reeling people in as much as other fanfics, because it wasn't a fanfic, it was an original. But yeah, anyway, I don't even know why I'm talking about this, but going back to that topic, I need to get on topic again. This question actually asks, do you think it's too late to start an art channel when you see how mainstream it's becoming? And I mean, I guess what I can say about that is it's mainstream for a reason, is because a lot of people are interested in that type of content, and I honestly don't really see anything bad about participating in something mainstream. Like, why is it bad? Is it because you're not exactly being original? But it's like, why does everything have to be original nowadays? I'm gonna kind of go off topic again, but like originality, I'm kind of like conflicted when thinking about it, because in one of my art classes, my professor is having us do a project where we make a wearable sculpture. And the first thing you'd probably think of when given that type of prompt is, oh, I'm gonna make like clothes or something. And I actually wanted to make a skirt. But then he said that he doesn't want us to make something that exists already. He doesn't want us to just see what looks pretty and like recreate it or something. And my mind was kind of like conflicted with that, and I would, in my brain, I like asked like, but why? Like, what is so wrong about seeing something and also wanting to create something similar to that? Like, what is so bad about creating something that's already popular? You know, like, Why do you have to be original? Why do you have to invent something that doesn't exist? It's like, why can't we just make what we want? And, you know, I guess the purpose of me saying this is just like, it doesn't matter that it's mainstream. Like I said before, there's always someone out there who's going to care about what you're doing. And it being mainstream, it like doesn't really change much. I mean, yes, like the market is going to be competitive and a lot more saturated. It's gonna be more difficult to get attention because of all the competition, but it's like you're gonna get attention, you know, some way or another. And as a hobby, I think it's just a really good experience to have, to just see how it goes, you know. And like I said before, don't put yourself into it too much when you know you're not like getting something out of it, because, you know, nowadays, I don't like to say it, but time is money, and you need to think about your time and effort, and you should be getting paid for it. But unfortunately, monetization is gonna take a bit to get to if one of your videos doesn't just like blow up or something. And another question asked how I got started as my art channel, and I actually started my art channel when I was like maybe 16, 17, and I would just record my screen, speed it up, find some random music, and then put it, and then eventually I got too lazy to find music, and I would just like upload speed paints that had no sound at all. And I wouldn't like cut it down or anything too. I would literally just film like 2 hours of me drawing, speed it up, and then upload it as like a 10-minute video. And as you can see, I put almost like no effort into it. And I guess like some do's and don'ts is, don't do what I did. Don't put like the bare minimum effort into your videos, because that's the reason why my videos weren't getting views back then, is because, you know, like people can tell if you're not putting effort into what you're doing, and they're not gonna enjoy it if it looks like crap, basically. So some people have asked how my setup looks, and I do have a list of the supplies that I use in my description, which if you buy from those links, I get like a small percentage of commission from them. So if you plan to buy anything, please use my links. So my main setup is that I have my drawing tablet, aka the Canvas 13, and I have a phone mount that is attached to my desk, and it basically holds my phone over my drawing tablet. And the thing that I struggled the most when first recording with my phone, well, like draw with me formats, is that it would like show up the lines on the screen, and you can kind of see it still even in this video, but I got it to a point where it's not as severe and it's not like hurting your eyes to see. But basically what you want to do to avoid those like nasty ugly lines on your screen is to match your video frame rate to your screen's frame rate. So if your monitor has a 60 Hz like refresh rate, film at 60 frames. If it has a 30 Hz refresh rate, film at 30 frames. And you can kind of just like have to experiment with it, trial and error, because I had to do that a lot, because I actually just tried to match up the frame rate like how I said before, but sometimes it wouldn't work, sometimes it would work. It's just weird. I've found that angling the camera a little bit instead of having it like straight parallel to the screen helps in reducing the lines. But yeah, I also struggled with the thing that happens when you film screens is like the color gets really blown out and the contrast becomes high, and usually dark-skinned characters will end up looking very light-skinned, and it bothered me a lot. And so I was trying to figure out like what to do to kind of avoid it, and I've avoided it slightly, but it still changes colors. I don't think there's anything you can really do to prevent it too much other than like zooming out and showing your background. But what I do is my room light is yellow, and so it creates a very yellow background, which messes up my white balance in my videos. So I have a lamp that has a white light that shines on like as ambience for my videos, and it also makes my hand look less yellow when I film. And so I suggest that before you start filming, if you do plan to film like draw with me type videos, make sure that your environment or background has a good white balance, that it's not predominantly yellow, it's not predominantly blue. And if you do have a problem like me where your setup is like very yellow, then make sure that you have some sort of light that or something white or blue that can kind of balance everything out to not becoming too yellow. For editing software, I just use Premiere Pro because it's just what I learned first. I used to actually use Windows Movie Maker when I first started, but then that thing died, and so I was forced to get Premiere. The bad thing about Premiere is that you have to subscribe to it, but there are certainly workarounds to that, which I can't talk about, but you know what I'm talking about. So if you're interested in that, you've got to do your own research on it because I can't talk about it without getting in trouble. So I did also want to talk about what's going on in my drawing here, and it was honestly really fun to redraw this entire like sheet. I might color it later on, I may not, but this was a sheet that was supposed to be finished, but for some reason I didn't finish it. But this one, I actually really liked how the old one looks because she just looks so like dreamy and just like a soft girl. And I find it funny how when I redrew her, I essentially just made her tired, like she just woke up. I mean, I didn't mean for her to look like that, but then it ended up looking like that once I drew her hair, because I drew her hair kind of messy, and so it kind of looked like bedhead. And so I like, you know, I just made it seem like she just woke up and she was tired and stuff. But what I learned from redrawing this is, I guess, that I did in fact get better at drawing faces, and I also got better at drawing the same character over and over. I mean, the first redraw kind of didn't really turn out the way I totally wanted it to, because I traced over a face, and it was also the first drawing, so I wasn't warmed up yet, and you can probably tell that I visibly got better at drawing the more time passed in this video, because I got more comfortable in what I was doing. And when I make these characters, there's a specific way that I want them to look, and for Isabella, I want her to be a soft girl. I want her to be that girl that when you see, you just know she's nice, you know? And even though I kind of drew her being grumpy in this one, but I'm really happy with how these turned out. And, you know, like, redraw your old work, because you'll definitely see some improvement there, and it's kind of fun to see. And I honestly might post my other unfinished canvases, or like scraps kind of, and ask everyone which one they want to see me redraw for a video, because it's actually really fun to do these sketch with me's, because I can kind of just like freely take my time when sketching, because I know that it's all going to be in the same video and I don't need to rush to get to the colors already or anything like that, because I do feel like that sometimes. And this video, because it's just a sketch, it allowed me to show more real time. Obviously there's still cuts in there to like leave out the parts where I'm literally just staring at my drawing and doing nothing. But for the most part, like probably 95% of this is not sped up at all. It's 100% speed, so it's real time. And this entire footage was actually like about an hour and 15 minutes, so not too much. So not too much of it was cut out, only about 30 or 20 minutes of it was cut out. And so you get to see a lot of what I actually do, and I hope that people can learn from it, because I certainly learn from watching people draw, because you get to see why they do what they do and the decisions that they make and the decisions that they make to leave some stuff out. And the way I draw faces has definitely changed. I feel like in the past I struggled almost with wanting to have a realistic style, because I had ran into Kelsey Beckett on Instagram and I hyper fixated on their art. Kelsey Beckett is an oil painter who does a lot of like realistic but also stylized portraits of women, and they look amazing. Check them out, because they're just like so good that it made me want to draw like them. And so I would try to do these kind of stylized realism portraits, but obviously it didn't jive with me, because that's just not the way I naturally draw. Like when I drew like that, I had to really think about it. And I'm glad of the direction that my art has gone. I really don't know what to call it, because it's not exactly anime, it's not too cartoony. I guess I'll just call it stylized. And like I mentioned before, like the eyes that I draw now are a lot bigger. The lips that I draw are also a lot bigger. I'm better at drawing different types of noses, I guess. And the facial proportions are definitely a lot different also. And it's kind of just fun to see how much I've improved and how I can draw the same character and kind of still make them look like the same character, but almost like better. And so if you're interested in seeing me do another one of these sketch with me's where I just redraw my old art and see how I've changed, let me know and I'll post a few of my scraps and I can do a poll to see what people want to see me draw. And someone also asked how I organize my time and tasks, like making videos, doing commissions, drawing personal art, and having a shop. And to be completely honest, I work nonstop every day. Like, I honestly don't stop working. Like, I really don't. And it's kind of bad because I don't play video games a lot anymore. I don't really spend time with my friends, and when I do have free time, I spend it with my sister, who I live with, because, you know, that's kind of like less effort. And it sounds really bad. Like, you might be thinking like you're overworking yourself and you're gonna get burnt out, but at the moment I'm feeling pretty content in my schedule. I guess the only thing that's just bad about it is that I feel sad that I might be losing my interest in video games. Like, the new Pokemon game just came out and I see everyone playing it, and I do want to play it, but I'm scared that I'll buy it, play it one time, and then just get lost in my work again and never play it again. And I don't want to waste that money in buying a game that I'll only play one time. And it's kind of scary to kind of like face these changes that's happening with me, because I love video games and I don't want to lose my passion for them, but I feel like every time I've tried to play something lately, I just get bored and I get lost in thoughts of productivity. Like, I'm playing Cooking Simulator and then I'm thinking like, wait, like I should be cooking in real life, or wait, like instead of playing Cooking Simulator, I could be making more stickers and making money. And it's a difficult mindset to get out of, because, you know, I need to make money now that I've moved out. I don't want to find myself in a position where I can't pay for rent or I can't afford to buy myself food. So I just keep working and I keep working and I keep working. And I mean, like, the good thing is that my work is fun. I really enjoy making these stickers. And I look forward to expanding my business. I look forward to making more videos. And it's all just fun. I actually haven't been doing commissions lately, because, to be honest, I've been struggling to get commissions. I did open recently just to reach my income goal for this month. but I've only gotten one request so far. And so it's a struggle, and I tweeted about it actually, and it's a struggle for a lot of artists this season actually to get a lot of commissions, and I think it's because of inflation, because gas prices went up, every price went up, and so not a lot of people are buying art. And that's why I'm thankful that I have an avenue or an income stream where I can earn on YouTube, I can earn through selling my brushes, and I can earn through selling my stickers. And it's pretty sad what's happening to Twitter also. I didn't totally want to talk about this because nothing is set in stone, but it's just sad to see so many people like panic about losing Twitter, because Twitter is this outlet where they've connected with people, where they've connected with clients, and it's given them a career, and now it might be gone. And if that does happen, well, you're on YouTube watching me, so you know I'm gonna be here. But I also have an Instagram, same name, Ayoops. And I've actually been spending a lot more time on Instagram than Twitter lately, just because I don't know, it's just a phase in my life, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I hope Twitter eventually kind of calms down again and comes back to normal, where people are still able to use it just the same way that we have been using it. And concerning income, actually, I once saw someone make a reel on Instagram showing how much they earned in a month as a full-time artist, or as a part-time artist actually. And I read their description, and they explained how they think it's important to be transparent about how much they earn as an artist, so that other artists can know that you can reach this level of income. And I kind of earn the same amount as them, if not more or less, and I was kind of interested in making my own reel showing different income streams that people can look into when examining how I earn my income. And let me know if you're interested in seeing that, because I know some people may not want to see it. You know, money is a taboo topic that some people don't like to speak about, and not a lot of artists speak about how much they earn, and not a lot of artists show real numbers. And I don't mind showing my numbers, because as a young person, as a young artist before, I would have really loved to see that, and just to know that, oh, like, this artist who is a bit similar to me can reach that income, which means that maybe I can too. Or maybe there's an income stream that you just didn't know you could probably dabble in and get some money. Like, I didn't know you could earn money from Reels. I didn't know that you could earn money from Pinterest. And I was like, maybe I'll look into those, and so that it'll be like some form of income. And yeah, I'd be willing to share my statistics on like income, monthly income and stuff. Although it'll probably only be in the form of like a reel or a YouTube shorts, because I don't want to get too detailed in it unless people express a lot of interest in how I do it. But yeah, this video is nearing an end. I have almost finished sketching, and I really enjoyed doing this. I basically just sat down and had my solo podcast talking to myself. It was really fun. I like talking to myself. And I just want to thank you for watching, and if you're still here at the end of this video, I'd like to remind you that I do have a small business that you can support. My stuff isn't super expensive, and I also have a Patreon that you can look into if you want to see work in progresses, possibly early access to videos. And I also have a tier, $10 tier, where you can get a gift bag of my stickers. So look into that if you're interested, and thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching this, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.